So this is Shinken, this Kamae here. And this is the actual Kamae that Sensei used to use after drawing for Kasumi no Kata. He would come into Shinken and then ski thrust back down the center line. The purpose of this usage of Shinken is to regain control of your sword, or to regain your balance and sense of self after having missed with that cut. So you draw the sword and cut, whichever draw you are using, and then they evade it, right? That's the assumption. Otherwise you wouldn't continue with the kata. And so normally if they evade it, there is a kind of gap during which a counterattack may be made. We fill this gap by dropping or releasing the full weight of the arms, especially the arms and shoulders, but also the center of the body, which counteracts whatever forward movement you were doing, brings the weight of your sword back to you, and you can recover, right? That's how we recover. Rather than freezing our bodies, we release everything down, and the downwardness, that's that kind of drop of the downwardness, which my sensei used to compare to a marionette having its strings cut, cancels out whatever the previous movement was. For the most part, there is still a certain amount of residual forces in the body, but it gives you space to do a second thing. So the Kasumi that we have been doing up to now, during which at that point you release and then ride the release back into the Kasumi no Kamae, is the best way to learn this, I think. Shinken is something a little bit different, in that when you release it and the weight of the sword and the weight of your arms comes back to you, you use that to charge up your arms. So all of the joints kind of rotate and the soft tissue is wrung. And then when the wringing gets to its end, it just unwinds. And you ride that unwinding back into a second ski, a second thrust, right? And so this drop, wring the arms into the shape of Shinken, that kind of like a waiter holding a plate in front of his face shape with the sword there, and then release forward again. And this is a sudden and unexpected thrust when you should be unbalanced, which is what it's there for. And it's also a very useful thing to put into most of your kata. You'll find different ways that I'll mention as we come to them, as we move through the various kata of the school, where theoretically you should be unbalanced, but instead you recover and continue attacking, in the case of Uchitachi, or recover and rise up into a Jodan no Kamae to commence a second attack. This is part of the general Itoryu feeling of behaving like water. We don't freeze. We don't stop, for the most part. And that kind of weight of water falling down a mountain and then just riding around everything that's there in front of it is very much what the Itoryu considers important. Especially that don't freeze thing. There's a technique we'll look at when we start looking at basic techniques called Uchiatoshi, which is essentially how to change a cut in the middle. If you're committed to a cut and your opponent moves or does something unexpected, rather than freezing, which is what your body will want to do, you drop everything, including the sword, and drop it into the space in front of you, guaranteeing that that space is clear, but also recover. You abort the cut without freezing or losing momentum, psychological momentum, or initiative, right? And this maneuver here, this Shinken, is the forerunner, or a way of doing exactly that. draw the sword and cut, your opponent evades, rather than continuing the cut and them taking advantage of a gap, you drop everything, either retreating back to Kasumi, the way we have been doing, or using that drop to charge up your arms for a second attack, therefore keeping the initiative.